squeezing, doing all the Kegels in the world. Guys, Kegels are not the answers to all your problems, right?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Zambezi Bell podcast. Today we have an amazing guest, and her name is Dr. Martina Mapa. And she is from Harare, Zimbabwe, and graduated from UT Health San Antonio in 2020 with her Doctor in Physical Therapy degree. She has been treating solely pelvic floor dysfunction after completing the Women's Health Residency program at Washington University in St. Louis. In spring of 2023, she passed her specialty boards and is now a women's certified specialist for pelvic floor muscle dysfunction. She joined the Vagina Rehab Doctor team and works alongside Dr. Janelle Howell, as they both specialize in virtual coaching for chronic vaginismus. And she will correct me on how to say that when she's talking about it. As you can see, I am not an OBGYN and sexual pain. Tina enjoys reading, traveling, and spending time with her nephews and nieces. Everybody, welcome Dr. Mapa.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Super excited to be here.
We are going to start by offering a word of prayer. Our kind and gracious Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this amazing day that you gave us. Thank you for the gift of life. Thank you for giving us good health. Thank you for giving us our faculties. Thank you for providing for us in each and every way. Please forgive us for all our sins. Please help us, Lord, in all that we do. As we have this conversation today, please help us, Lord, to be able to touch the people that you want to be touched by this conversation. Please help us as we diligently work towards growth and healing. Help us in everything that we do. Please touch each and every person's heart and help us, Lord, to live lives that are purposeful and lives that are honoring to you. We thank you, Lord. We love you and we honor you. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. It is so good to have you here, and I am so glad that you said yes. And there are a lot of women who don't even know that there is somebody who can help them with sexual dysfunction, pelvic dysfunction, and things like that. So I think this is going to be a very nice conversation. Dr. Mapa, tell us a little bit about yourself. So you grew up in Harare. Well, not really, because you were little when you left Harare. And then you went to Ireland, and then you came to the States. So give us a little rundown of your little history of how you got to be here.
Here. Oh my goodness, yeah. And it's so crazy. You know how when people are talking about your bio, you're like, man, it's been that long. Like I graduated in 2020. I'm like, oh my gosh. So interesting. But I was born in Zimbabwe, and you know, now the older I get, I can't even say half raised, because now it's even like a quarter at this point.
Right. Yes.
Because I left Zim when I was 10. So I left when I was 10 and then moved to Ireland. And I was out there until I was 17, so almost 18. So I always say my formative years, like those pivotal, important years, were formed in Ireland. So just as a first-time immigrant, you know, in a country that people did not look like me. And I was probably one of the very first few in a classroom where I looked different. So that was a very different experience. And then I moved here when it was time for college. If you know me, I'm a person that likes to try different things, and I don't really mind being in a different environment, meeting new people. So I was like, you know what? I've got sisters in the US. Let me try and see how I'd like it. And I've never left since. It's been an amazing experience, and I love it out here. And I always say, if I hadn't come to the States, I don't know if I would be where I am right now in terms of my career and being able to pursue the things that I loved to do. So being here has actually opened up so many doors for me, even just like scholarships when I went to school, being able to try again. You know, school didn't work out at one place. I'm like, okay, this is really what I want to do. Let me try. I think there was just a lot of opportunities, and I don't know if I would have been where I'm at right now today in my career if I hadn't left Ireland.
How was it growing up in Ireland? Because really, when you're 10, it's like growing up because that's when the growing up happens. How was that experience for you?
Man, so I will say this. I think growing up in Ireland was very different. Like I said, I was one of the first, right, in the classroom, like
Mm-hmm.
myself and my younger siblings, that looked different from the Irish people. And they'd be like, okay, so what are you about? So that was very real. But I'm very thankful because I didn't get to do it alone, right? So I had my little brother, I had my little sister. We just kind of formed a little own clan and we were our little own group and our little own friends until we kind of assimilated and, people were now curious and being different was cool
Yeah.
because then that was a thing. But it was hard, right? It was hard, especially when I was chilling in Zimbabwe with my little friends. It's all I knew, going to Blakiston. I was in Blakiston, we're like going to our swimming classes, where like everybody looks like you, like we're doing
Yeah.
normal things. And then now you're in this foreign country where you're having to navigate and learn, okay, what's the norm? What is okay to do? What is not okay to do? And it's harder too when your parents are also trying to figure it out.
Right.
So at this point, nobody knows what the norm is. And, now the battle too of trying to like, we as Zimbabweans, so we do this. And then you're like, yeah, but I'm in a classroom full of these Irish people. So maybe I want to dress a little different. Maybe I want to go to these different things that they're hosting. And, so it was hard even just for us as kids, like the shift, even just the fighting back and forth with the parents, trying to keep your heritage and assimilate, and all of that. But I didn't turn out so bad, honestly.
I think it turned out okay. How was that transition to coming to the States?
I think that actually made it easier for me because I'd already been in
Yeah.
the diaspora. So really, I
Yeah.
was in the diaspora from the age of 10. So I have friends with like they moved here when they were 18 from being
Right.
back home.
Yeah.
So that was hard for them. But for me, it was like, okay, it's just a different form of the diaspora. The food is different. It's not like I'm
Yeah.
sitting here like, oh my gosh, what are these people feeding me? So I think it made the transition so much easier for me, I think. And even, in school, people will be like, oh, wow, you're English. You don't even have an accent. And I'm like, well, I mean, so I think that made things a little bit different for me and a little bit more, I guess, a little bit easier, right? So I
Yeah.
didn't have to deal with that. So, yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit about dating because you're for our these young 30s. How has the dating field been like for you?
Man, so my sisters and I always talk about this. I think, not that I think, this is a fact, okay? So I come
Yeah.
from a family of six, and my older three sisters were all married before they turned 30. So they like, I think the first one was like 21, the other one was like 27, 28. So I'm like the eldest, like Mapa daughter that has gone through like into her 30s, like 3 years into my 30s, and they're like, okay, sis, are you okay? Like, what's going on? And honestly, I think, and we always talk about this, right? There's pros and cons. I personally think, school took up a lot of my time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll just say it out there. And not even that, I think maybe I also just didn't meet the right person, whatever the case may be during the journey. But I am thankful that I'm where I'm at now and have been dating or not been married yet.
Yeah.
Yet, because it's something that I aspire, right? Because I feel like I've learned so much more about myself as a person.
Yeah.
So I'm more secure. I know what I want. I know what I don't want. And I think if I could imagine right now being married at 21,
Yeah.
OMG, I cannot conceptualize it. What was I doing at 21? Like, oh my gosh, let alone, be like a mom and people do it. And I don't shame anybody for doing it. But I think for me, the dating scene and, like I'm in the era too of online dating, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm like bringing all these new things to my sisters and they're like, what? Show me what does the app look like, right? Because I'm like doing all these new things.
Yeah.
But I will say that, it's a whole different world out there and maybe I'll be better equipped to raise my kids because now I'll be like, been there, done that, right?
Yeah.
And who knows what they'll be doing back then. But it's been hard. It's really been hard. And I think, right, you have to think about when you're looking for a significant other, right? You're looking
Mm-hmm.
for somebody that is similar to you.
Yes.
I'm a hybrid times three. I don't know
Yes.
what you want to call
Yes.
it, right? So finding somebody where it's like, okay, they're not like African, they're not
Right.
too American, they
Right.
like have a little bit of both. But then again, I also left Zim when I was 10 and then lived in Europe. It's so hard. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, it's so hard. because then you're either ending up on one end of the spectrum and you're like, it's not quite what I'm looking for, but maybe. Yes. So dating is hard in that sense. And then not even that, then being SDA, then, you know, like there's that whole, you grow up being told you need to find an S. Now, okay, so we're adding to it now, right? So this hybrid person that's SDA, that is, you know, they've been educated like this. Like it makes it so hard. And then do you want somebody Zimbabwean, right? I have friends that would be like, I want to be with a Zimbabwean person. I was never like that. I was very open to whoever you are, as long as you're a good person, you love Jesus, and you're going to be kind to me. I'm always up for it. So it's been very interesting to just kind of go through that and get to know people that, you know, are totally completely different from me, and then having to be like, okay, do I really like this? Do I not like this? Okay.
So you touched on being SDA, Seventh-day Adventist. I feel like we are a new generation of Adventists. To you, what does being Adventist mean?
Oh, girl, that's hard.
Girl, I brought it there.
You brought it there. Okay, so I always say I'm a revised Adventist. I'm sure the SDs are gonna be like, what is that? Like you're being extra.
And that's okay.
And that's okay, right? Because I think for me, what Adventism, so let me explain where I was before. I think growing up, you're taught things. We are SDA, we don't do this. We're SDA, you don't do this.
Yes.
You do this, you don't do this, you do this.
Yes.
So over the years, and now me entering my 30s and things like that, even I think before, in my late 20s, maybe mid 20s, I started to explore what that meant to me. Right. And I think it ended up being less of a, we don't do this, we do this, we don't do this, we do this, versus what's my relationship with God like.
Yes.
So, you know, like, and there's just a lot of like fundamental things that, you know, SDAs don't believe in, especially back home, you know, like, oh, you can't have piercings. Like, so the way that I look is not like your traditional SDA, right? So they'll be looking at me like, girl, how many piercings you have? Like, what is this? But I think I'm like, okay, but my relationship with God is at this place that it's at. I go to church on Saturday. That's what that means to me. I totally believe in tithing, all of that good stuff. But there's just things here and there that I'm just like, is this going to stop me from getting to heaven? Of which we don't know that answer, right? We don't know that answer, which then says to me that we should not be crucifying people for some of these things, right? Because I'm like, you don't know the answer either. So when all is said and done, for me, I'm like, where am I at with my relationship with God? That's what's most important for me. So even in dating, right? Yes. I used to be the one to say, I am going to get married to an SDA person. And right now in my dating life with the person that I'm with right now, I can't remember the last time I dated an SDA person. Because for me, it's now just become, I've dated within the church, and some of those people have not proven to be the nice people that I thought they would be. Right?
Nope.
They're going to be, man, you said we're going to go here. They're going to be the ones that are like the biggest cheaters I ever dated.
Cheaters.
Right? You know, so even in my 20s, right, I was dating SDA men that were cheaters. I was like, what is this? Like, is this what I'm signing up for? Not to say that all SDA men cheat, okay? Like, I need to put all these little disclaimers in there. I don't need people saying, oh, Dr. Tina said, no. I know, they'll come for me. Dr. Tina said all men cheat. No. All SDA men don't cheat. But I'm just saying that if I stayed within this bubble, I need to date just SDA men, I mean, I probably would have been married to somebody that was not good for me or did not treat me right. So I don't put my pool of even just dating. I mean, not that I'm currently looking to date. I need to put that out there. I'm not looking to date. I'm with somebody and I'm happily with this person.
Dating, you are,
yes. Happily with my person.
We've seen you on TikTok.
Yes. Happily with my person, but he's not SDA. And I was like, he's amazing. He's so great. And I have even other SDA friends that married non-SDA people, and they're happy. And, you know, their kids, look at that, right? They're at peace. You know, God still lives in their home. It doesn't mean that God is not going to bless them or God is not going to show up for them. God is still there, but they're happy. And, you know, so it's being SDA for me has become where am I at internally with my relationship with God, to answer your question. That is really the fundamental stuff. Yes, I'll take this fundamental stuff, but some of the things that we grew, it was just instilled in us. Like, you do this, and you ask why, they're like, you don't ask why. It's because we just do it as SDAs.
Exactly.
That's not a good enough answer for me. So I got to that place, if anything.
So what does your faith mean to you as you have gone through your career, through education, because I know that you had some difficulties to get where you... Actually, why don't you tell us a little bit about your journey, your educational journey, because this is going to be so inspiring to someone.
Sister, yeah, man. Okay, my story is just one, and and this is what I always say. Then I think part of being a Christian, not even just
Mm-hmm.
a Christian, is living a life knowing that things are not always going to be perfect,
Yes.
right? You don't just open a door and then things gonna be perfect, right? Like you don't just you may get married and things will not work out. You may
Right.
start a program for school and you may get sent away. And
Yes.
that was really my case, right? So I excelled when I got here, started off in community college, right? Because I was an international student at the time and it was just easier. So I was like, let me work on my prerequisites because
Mm-hmm.
if anybody doesn't know, to become a physical therapist, so it's a doctorate program, but they require for you to enter with a bachelor's degree.
Mm-hmm.
So my goal to the bachelor's degree was super seamless. I did my community college time, even got a full scholarship to go to UTA for my undergrad. I finished and then I got poached. I like the way to say I got poached. So there was a school in Dallas that had a link program that they had. They would take like if you're trying to get into PT, into a doctorate program, they would, you could do an application if you're a high student, your grades look good, all of that, they would give you
Mm-hmm.
automatic admission. So I didn't have to go through the process. So I'm like, look at God.
I
I
mean,
got
look at
this.
that.
Look at God. So I go into the program and I remember it was a summer program. So I graduated May and I think they were starting like a few weeks after. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
perfect. I get to stay at home. I don't have to leave the house. I get to stay with my sister and I get to, keep going to school.
Yeah.
I go in, my brain is like, Tina, you're joking. Because literally, I didn't know this thing was a thing. Brain fog, fatigue. Literally, I would study.
Yeah.
Everybody else, girl, I would be in the library till 10, 11, and I would take an exam and come out with 37. And I'm
My
like,
gosh.
I have
Especially
never
after you
seen.
had no problem, full ride scholarship, no problem through your bachelor's, and now you are
Girl,
in this your dream.
this is my dream, right? So I'm like, okay, something is not working. Girl, let me tell, and I don't mind asking for help. I would be going to the tutoring, to the labs, I would be waking up early in the morning to make it to school so I can talk to the teachers before class started. It did not work out to the point where they sat me
Wow.
down and they were like, hey girl, it seems like your grades are not going to pull through. It's better that you withdraw because if you don't, you're going to fail and it's going to mess up your transcript. And I'm like, well, okay. I remember crying so hard when I had to fill out that paperwork. I just went
Yeah.
home and I cried. And I was like, but I thought this was it. So now I'm now reconfiguring, like, okay, should I be here? Is it supposed to be another program?
Yeah.
Like, am I supposed to be a nurse, a dentist? It shook my whole world. I was
Of
now like,
course.
maybe I'm in the wrong field. Like maybe this is not, let me start. And people are like, okay, relax, calm down. This is not. So my family, shout out to my family at large, my sisters, the significant others, absolutely love those guys.
Yeah.
And so then they're like, look, this is a roadblock. Life happens. I'm telling you, this is the first roadblock I'd had in my life.
Yeah.
And I was like,
And when
what?
you're not used to failure, whoo.
What? And so after that, then they're like, okay, you're going to have to. So remember, I'm an international student at that time, so I cannot be out of status. So they're like, okay, girl, we need to figure out a plan. Are you going to reapply to PT school or not? So I'm like, okay, I can reapply to PT school. However, you have to wait a full year to then see if you're accepted again. So I'm like, okay, let's try this again. So basically I signed up to start my master's. So I'm like, okay, at least I can get something out of this. Let me sign up for this master's. I can work on this while I apply. So I apply. And then I get accepted to a school in San Antonio. So I'm like, look at God. We're back on track. We got this.
Yeah.
Okay, we get on track. I go to San Antonio. First year I completed, and I think I had like 2 C's on my transcript. And they were like, ma'am, you cannot continue unless you fix these C's. Yes, ma'am. So I think maybe it was like 2 or 3 C's. Either way, they were like C's, okay? And it wasn't like, I was like, oh, this is really bad. They had 37%. They were just 3 C's. So they were like, nope, you can't do it. I appealed it. Guys, they were like, no. And the way that these grad school courses, classes are set up, they come once a year. So because I'd already completed a year, I technically had to repeat a year. And remember, it comes in as a cohort. So I had to let my friends go. And now I was the repeater. Now there's that.
Just even the trauma of it.
The trauma of it. So now this is year 2. So we flunked out that 1 year. Then we did the masters. Then we picked up again. So then we did the 1 year. So now we're in year 3 at this point. This is a program. PT is supposed to be a 3-year program. It took me longer.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I retake my C's.
But you did not give up. You did not give up.
I'm still here, yes. And I'm glad I didn't because I love my job. I'm so glad I didn't. So yeah, so then I repeated and then eventually finished up with everybody.
Wow.
And then I guess I did it. And then, so let me tell you what's so funny. So my residency, I'll tell you this. In the United States, there is 10 programs. At that time, there was 10. Let's say that. I think they probably have added more where you could specialize to do pelvic floor. So Martina's like, okay, I want to do this pelvic floor thing. So I'm going to apply to do, and my professors even discouraged me, which I think was also not a good idea.
And it's a 1-year program, the residency?
It's a 1-year program. It's a
Okay.
1-year program. So, I'm like, okay, I'm going to apply. So I cast my net wide, applied to all 10.
Yeah.
And mind you, I don't even, is there one in Texas? I can't remember if there's one in Texas or not. So anyway, I cast my net wide. Then I have interviews lined up. So they usually kind of do interviews. I think I probably had 5 interviews out of 10. And I was like, look at God.
Hey.
I fly out to St. Louis, right, for this interview. And I remember going to that program, and I remember calling my sister when I walked out, and I was like, I love this place.
Yeah.
Mind you, the first interview that I had, which they're very smart, in St. Louis is the #1 PT school in the country. Okay, so I go there and I'm like, man, I love it. When I tell you, within an hour of that interview, they called me and offered me a spot.
What?
Yes, because everybody unanimously was like, we want her here. We need to get her ASAP.
Wow.
So they were ready. They're like, we're sending you the paperwork. Are you in or are you not? Before I even went to the other interviews. So then I never went to the other interviews.
That is amazing.
Super crazy. Mind you, another thing happened too. Then COVID happened.
No.
Yes. So I was supposed to start. COVID happened, and they were supposed to take 2 people that year.
Yeah.
And they took the other girl because the other girl already was in St. Louis. So they were like, hey, look, your spot is going to be here for the following year. But for now, because of COVID, we're going to. So I said, you know what? I'll wait.
My goodness.
Girl, I waited. I did a year of travel PT. I was traveling to different places, treating, doing my thing. I was enjoying life. Said, I'm waiting. And then I went ahead and then I finally finished.
Which brings us to the topic of friendships. So what do friendships look like for you young kids these days?
So I think these past couple of years, I've learned that friendships go through seasons, right? And we adjust as we go. We just adjust as we go. We went from 5 hours, every day to now we need to set up a call on the calendar to say, hey, on Sunday at 6 p.m., we're calling each other.
Yeah.
I think friendships now for sure are probably more work. You have to be more intentional. That's what my schedule looks like, girl. Like I have friends in different states. With a friend that's here. We'll meet up every Sunday, on a call every Sunday for about an hour, just catch up what's been going on. And if we miss, maybe in 2-3 weeks, we'll be on the phone on Sunday. Okay, what's been going on? How are you doing? How are you doing?
So
and the other ones on the calendar.
Yeah.
Yes, the other ones on the calendar that are local. Okay, guys, once a month, we need to try to see each other. What are we doing? Are we doing a lunch? Are we doing a brunch? Gonna go play something, an activity? But it has to, because I noticed that if we don't do that, girl, time will go by.
Yes.
People have lives, people have kids, people have jobs, people have extended families now.
Yes.
You won't find anybody if if you're not intentional to do that. So that's what friendships look like for me now in my early 30s. The calendar girl.
Talking about calendars, so are you a digital planner or are you a paper planner?
Girl, I'm a digital planner all the way. What?
Digital planner, I have not gotten into it.
Oh my gosh, you're like my sister. See, you guys, same WhatsApp group. Same WhatsApp group. She'd be like, oh, I don't have my little book with me. I'm like, this is why.
Oh, Sisenji.
Yes. You just exposed her. Yes. You guys, same WhatsApp group. I think that's so funny. How do you guys miss that? Mine teach me all the time. My phone literally, if my phone is not with me, I don't know what I'm doing because honestly, people will be like, what are you doing on Monday? I'll be like, let me check my calendar.
You are truly, but you know what? I guess it's a good excuse for us because we don't have it with us all the time. So, hey, I'll need to go check my plan.
Let me go check my plan. I would have thought you would have been digital now.
I am a very late adapter for anything.
Even with your job?
It takes me a while to get comfortable.
I would have thought with your job, you would have gone digitally. Because then for me, then I can kind of decide like, okay, fine, on this day, I start work at 11. Yeah. Okay, cool. We can do breakfast or coffee before I start work. Or on this day, I finish at 7. Okay, we can hang out at 8 o'clock on this day. But I'm like, you don't have that.
That's a problem. Because then I have my planner and then I have my work calendar, which is digital. And so my administrative assistant puts everything on there, and our nurse puts everything on the digital calendar. But then every night before the next day, I have to sit with my digital calendar and put it on my paper planner.
You guys have time. Let me tell you, I'm all about efficiency, and that does not sound efficient.
It is not. It is not. And so sometimes you have the two calendars are not talking to each other. So That's not good.
Or sometimes you commit to something and then you forget that this was on the work calendar.
Yes. Today I had to fix some things because
Girl,
yeah, yeah.
my goodness.
I'll try. So
Try, you
what do
just
you
have to
use? Do you
think it.
just use your phone?
So I
Like
just
the
use my
calendar on your
phone.
phone?
I just use my phone and that's it. So really, and the way my work calendar is set up is because not even that, you can do it too. You can sync your work calendar and then your personal calendar on your phone, birthdays, all of that. So I know whose birthday is when. I'll send my birthday message in the morning, or I know because it's your birthday on Monday, are we meeting on this Saturday so that I know that this is what we're doing. Literally, I'm looking at my calendar. If it's not a month in advance, I'm like that.
Wow, I'm impressed. You're organized.
But that's how I'm able. So I always tell my sisters, if there's a kid thing, I need to show up to a soccer game.
Mm-hmm.
Just so they sync calendars with me too. So I know, okay, who am I attending to who? There's a soccer game on Sunday at 5. Okay, Antina will be there. Antina will show up. Okay, church, they're singing, the young adults are singing. Antina needs to show up and cheer the kids on. I will be there. As long as
Oh,
it's on the calendar. If it's not on the calendar, girl, I
it's
won't
not
be there.
happening. Yep, that's the problem. If it's not on the calendar, it's not happening. But did the
You see
calendars
what I'm
talk?
saying? Did the calendars talk? They need to start talking, girl.
I will work on it. Let's talk about health and wellness. You are very fit and you're quite healthy. Tell us, how do you do it? What's your health and wellness routine? And then just tell us a little bit about your exercising.
Wow. Okay. So health and wellness routine for me, and I think school was a number one contributor to that because I needed it to survive,
Yeah.
just mentally, right?
Yeah.
Just being on the books all the time was not good. So life was good. Now for me, because of my job, which is
Mm-hmm.
great also, I record a lot of content, right, for my social media,
Mm-hmm.
my exercises, encouraging my patients, my clients, and
Yeah.
all that type of stuff. So really my goal usually is 3 to 4 times a week. I wish I could do more, but
Yeah.
I will work with what I have.
Yes.
And
Not bad at all.
now, because I'm in my 30s, my doctor talks about strength training. I need to
Yes.
weight train and for my joints and all of this
Yes.
good stuff. So now I'm trying, and this is my goal for 2025, to incorporate more like weight room stuff. So more strength training. Because my strength, I
Mm-hmm.
do like Pilates, yoga, and then I walk a lot. So I walk 2, 3 miles every other day if I can, even every day out of the week, right? So if I can, that'll be a good week. So just setting myself goals, right? If I work out strength training one day out of that week, I'm like, yes, we did it.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. And then healthy eating for me is a thing. So I
Mm-hmm.
like to cook a lot. So I cook a lot of my meals at home.
Okay.
And then maybe on the weekends is when like I'll, eat something or if I'm craving something here and there. But for the most part, I actually used to meal prep. I'm not that good anymore because I work from home, so I don't feel the need to anymore. So, but I used to meal prep, girl. My meals would be set for the week, breakfast, lunch, dinner. I used to do my overnight oats. I used to make sure because I like to be intentional about what I
Yeah.
eat because I
Yeah.
honestly think a lot of our health things, even like weight wise,
Yep.
is what you eat. So
It
even
is
if I
what
don't
you
work
eat.
out for a week, what I've been eating has to be
Yeah.
good. Yeah. And then I like obviously being the one in control of what I put in my food, right? So can I listen my cheese? Can I listen my cream? Can I, whatever the case may be, but at least then, so I love to cook. Even baking, girl, I'll make banana bread from scratch when I have my cravings and I'm like
Wow.
eating banana bread.
Better be sending some to your sister over here.
Yes. So I like to bake, that kind of thing. So I think that's how I kind of keep the balance. And working from home has been a game changer for me because now I can be cooking something while I'm finishing up with patients and
Yeah.
go ahead and pick up my meals and things like that. So that's nice.
So what is it that you do? So tell me more, because I want to know all about this sexual health and
Sexual
wellness
health.
and pelvic health and
So as a pelvic floor physical therapist, I'm qualified to treat everybody, right? Males, females, kids, because all those people have pelvic floors.
uh-huh.
So I always say this, I treat bowel, bladder, sexual function, but right
Okay.
now I have now kind of narrowed it down to sexual function. I'll see some clients here and there with bowel and bladder things. And sometimes what I find is that, yes, I'm seeing you for sexual function, but you have bladder stuff going on. So what that looks like is I am 100% virtual right now. So
Mhm.
that means I see all of my clients virtually and it's more of coaching is what I say. Coaching people through pelvic floor dysfunctions, right?
Okay.
So we're talking about physical movement,
Uh-huh.
a lot of like manual techniques to help them, release or deal with whatever dysfunctions that they have back home. So symptom wise, right? So what does that look like? If somebody's like, okay, well, how do I know if I need to see a Dr. Tina or not?
Uh-huh.
You're talking about constipation is not a normal thing. that can be fixed. And sometimes constipation can be two things, right? What you're eating, but also the exit point. Is the exit point relaxing so that things can come out, right? So that's like on the bowel side of things. Bladder, urinary leakage, people coughing, laughing, sneezing is not normal, guys. Even if you've had 4 kids, you should be able to hold your bladder when you cough, laugh, and sneeze. Urgency, like, oh, I gotta go to the bathroom. I gotta go right now. And now you're running to the bathroom with leakage on the way to the bathroom. Not normal, my ladies. Something is going on. Hesitancy. Oh, I sit on the toilet. My bladder is full. I want to empty my bladder. It's not coming out. So that means that, you've got problems with relaxing your pelvic floor to get, your urine to come out. So that would be on the bladder side of things. Then sexual function side of things, which is what I do for the most part, which I absolutely love. You're not talking about things like pain with intercourse, inability to have intercourse, which people do not even know that that's a thing. When I tell you, I see this time and time again, where it's like, I've been married for 12, and I talk about her all the time, married for 12 years, never been able to consummate her marriage because she could physically not have intercourse, right? So that's a thing. But pain with intercourse doesn't have to be a thing, even after you have kids, even when you're in menopause. Those are things that can be worked on. You don't have to go through that. Another one too would be like even orgasms. Like pain with orgasms, not normal. Inability to have orgasms, sometimes that can be pelvic floor related. Sometimes there's other things going on. So those are kind of things that are kind of going towards the sexual function side. So I dibble and dabble in everything, but what I see right now with the vagina rehab doctor, we see a lot of pelvic floor dysfunction that is sexual dysfunction related.
How does somebody get to see you? How does somebody get to be your virtual patient? Can they be anywhere in the world since you're virtual? Or does it specifically have to be in the state of Texas?
No, because technically I'm a vaginal fitness consultant and I'm doing coaching. My services are virtual, so that means that I can see anybody really and we can work on anything.
Okay, so let's say you have a 45-year-old woman. It's the physician within me. I have to have a case scenario.
Of course you do. Of course you do.
So you have a 45-year-old woman who has birthed 4 children and has a weak pelvic floor. So obviously they're not going to come and say I have a weak pelvic floor, but
Sometimes
they're saying, oh, they do?
And I'm like, what does that mean? Like, what does that mean? Weak pelvic floor, okay.
But they're saying, okay, I am now having to wear pads because every time I am laughing, I end up with leakage of urine. Can you give us a mini plan of how you would start working with this person?
Okay, so for me personally, actually, before I even start going straight to the pelvic floor, I am a behavioral person. So I like to know, what are your behaviors like? Okay, so a couple of things I would look at. What is your water intake like, first of all? Because remember, sometimes you're not leaking because you're drinking plenty of water. Sometimes you may be leaking because you're not drinking enough. And then because you've got less, in there, it irritates your bladder. And then that way it's concentrated, right? So it's like now you're leaking because your body just wants to expel it.
And what would you recommend as enough water? Because people are going to ask. So
people are going to ask.
Doctor, how much water should I be drinking?
And you know what? My biggest pet peeve is people talking about I need to drink a gallon of water. If you're drinking a gallon of water, you are going to be leaking, sis. You are going to be leaking, okay? You don't need to be drinking a gallon of water.
Is just that whole gallon of milk, drinking water like that.
It's a lot. No. But this is my thing. If you exercise a lot, and your body weight says that. So I always say, how much should I be drinking? Half your body weight in ounces. So if you're 120 pounds, go in half, that's 60. So that should be 60 ounces, about 2 liters that you should be drinking in a day. And then if you work out, it's hotter outside, you can adjust as you go. So that's one thing. So I always ask too, how much water are you drinking? Because you may be drinking too much. That's causing you to leak. Let's adjust that. We may fix the problem, right? Another thing is avoiding frequency. How often do you go to the bathroom? That's another problem I see people with. So are you going to the bathroom? I had somebody tell me she went in an 8-hour shift, she goes once. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean?
Maybe she doesn't want to use public restrooms.
That's another thing. But now look, you're leaking. I mean, okay, which one do we want to fix here? Public restrooms, leaking. Which one? Because then for her, I was like, okay, think of it this way. The bladder takes 2 to 3 hours to fill, especially if you're hydrating. Yes. So how can you now be going to the bathroom one time in 8 hours?
8 hours.
It doesn't work. So in a 12-hour period, you really should go to the bathroom. Like if it's every 2 hours, you'll be going 6 times.
Especially if you're drinking the amount that you should be drinking.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So your patient right there that you just gave me, there's a lot of things that I would want to fix even, and I've had that. I've had, clients that will come to me and they're like, this is my bladder stuff, this is my sexual stuff. Literally, bladder stuff, like sometimes it's as easy as changing your behaviors, right? And they're good. And then we strengthen the pelvic floor. And then remember, strengthening pelvic floor, like for your 45-year-old lady, sometimes that's not even sometimes. Kegels are not the answer to all my. Let me tell you, I'm so glad I'm on this platform.
Yeah, you tell me, because we think Kegels heal everything.
Yeah, the 45-year-old is probably squeezing, doing all the Kegels in the world. Guys, Kegels are not the answers to all your problem, right? So it's one of those two where it's like, okay, I always say this: the pelvic floor doesn't work by itself. When you look at pelvic floor, your hips, right, they're attaching, right? Your core is attaching, right? So you can't just say, I'm gonna do Kegels. But you have to think, okay, what else are my accessory muscles, is what I call them.
Yeah.
Not that mean, but the textbook calls them that. Accessory muscles. So I'm like, let's strengthen your core.
Yeah.
Let's strengthen your hips. Let's strengthen your glutes, because they're part of this equation that holds this thing together, not just the Kegels. So the Kegels might not fix all your problems.
So
they might even make it worse.
So our 45-year-old woman is so busy and she says, Doctor, I only have 20 minutes a day that I can do all this. And you're telling me I need to work on my hips, I need to work on my core, I need to work on this. How can I do all this in 20 minutes?
You can, but in 20-minute workouts, guys, you literally can do 2 exercises for your core, 2 exercises for your hips. You'll be fine. 20 minutes you can do. But this is what I always say now too, guys. And I'm putting my plug to all of my clients and people that are on here.
Yeah.
If you don't take care of yourself, how are you going to show up the best version of yourself for your community?
Amen.
In a 12-hour period, you should be able to find an hour to yourself.
Ooh,
that's a lot. That's a lot, right? And an hour to yourself can look like 30-minute walk. You have done good. An hour to yourself can, and I say not even just an hour to yourself, just time for yourself. And you know what self-care can look like? Self-care can look like you preparing a meal for yourself. Like I've treated clients that will talk about constipation, but they can barely prepare a meal that is healthy for their constipation to not be constipation, because they're so busy taking care of other people. They're like, oh, but I have to do this for the kids, and then this, and then this, and before you know it, it was already bedtime. So I haven't taken any fiber. I haven't been drinking my water. I'm like, we literally fill up your little, this is me all day with water as you're going about doing your thing, that kind of thing.
For those who are finding it hard to find fiber in their diet, do you have a recommended supplement for fiber?
Oh, so I'm more of, you have to figure out if it's fiber or if it's water.
Okay.
Because then remember, sometimes too, it's a matter of, am I drinking enough water? And if you're not, up your water. And this is what I say, it doesn't even have to be half of your body weight.
Yeah.
I've had people that will say, I drink 1 glass of water a day, and they up it up to, let's say, 4. And it makes a difference. And it makes a difference. So sometimes it's not necessarily about the number that you're taking in. And then in terms of fiber, so I'm more about food. So I'm more about, actually, the one that I've discovered, because I have bowel stuff, so I have to be intentional about what I eat too. The one that I've discovered is a smoothie a day, guys, will help your poop do just fine.
Smoothie? What's in your smoothie?
Let me give you examples. I'm an almond milk girly. I have allergies. I try to stay away from dairy as much as I can. Almond milk or whatever regular milk you do, that's fine. Or even coconut water, some people will do. Avocados, so good for your fiber. Even just half an avocado, you stick it in that smoothie. I put like maybe half a cup of oats. I put some berries. I put some spinach. Blend it up. Maybe a banana in there. Blend it up. That's my smoothie for the day.
Does it taste good?
It tastes good. The banana sweetens it, yeah. And then my almond milk is probably vanilla flavored or something, so it tastes good. Yeah, it tastes pretty good.
And you're good for the day.
And that's it. And I'm good for the day.
That's not bad
and
at
I'm
all.
it's not bad at all. So I think and remember, those are things that you can even prep these things.
Yeah.
Right? Because you can mix everything up and then just put it on the blender while you're showering or getting ready to do whatever, and then it's ready. You get your cup, your straw, you're out the door.
Wow.
It can be done, guys. I just think we need to, preparation is key.
Yes.
Preparation is key. See, we're back talking about bowels again.
I love that. Because we should be having healthy bowels.
We should be having healthy bowels. We really should. We really, really should. So I think that's what is healthy, right? So some people will say, like I've had somebody say, like, I have a bowel movement once a week. I said, first of all, are you eating once a week? What is this? What do you mean once a week? What is this? We should really be having, I think, normal. I don't want them to come for me. But for me, usually I say normal is like every day to like every other day. Yeah. It's about every 5 days, something is not right. And the thing is, unfortunately for us, these are things that we grew up with.
Right.
Right. In terms of the bowels, like people would say, like, oh yeah, all my life I've been going every 2 weeks. Ma'am, just because you've been doing it all your life doesn't mean that it's okay. You need help, right? To try and figure out, like, okay, what's going on and how can I better? There's things that you can do to try and help things like that.
Right. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So what do you do for your workouts daily? Like when you don't have time? Because we have a lot of women that listen to us that are busy and don't have time. The minute that they find a little bit of time, it's time to go pick up the kids from school. It's time to do this. So what is something that you would recommend for them for easy workouts other than
Okay,
walking?
so
Because
let me
I
tell
talk to
you
them about walking
this.
all the time.
Walking all the time. So let me tell you this, and these people need to start paying me, so I'm going to look for them. Fit On, okay? It's an app. It's a free app.
Yeah.
It's FIT, like Fit On
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
is where I get all my workouts. They
Really?
have everything from if you wanted to go to the gym, if you want to do some yoga, if you want to do some Pilates, if you want to
Yeah.
do kickboxing, girl, they got everything. I put it on my little iPad. I press play. You can do from as little as 20 minutes, 30-minute workouts, 40 minutes, whatever you want. Use at home things, guys.
How
I'm more
expensive
about
is it
the.
though?
I just said, girl, it's free. In case y'all didn't hear me, it's a free app. Fit On. It's
Okay,
free.
okay,
Mhm,
okay. Fit
mhm.
on. Okay, we can do that.
Fit On. You should try it. Fit On, and that's what I've been using. And I think other people will use other apps, but I've been using Fit On since I was in school. I've been using it for years. And
Wow.
that's what works for me because then sometimes I don't have to leave the house. Or if I'm just having a busy day and I'm like, man, 20 minutes, HIIT
Yeah,
training. I love HIIT workouts. They even have
yeah.
some good HIIT workouts on there. If you want to strengthen your core, girl, if you're a pregnant mama, I think they even have like pregnancy workouts. Fit On, guys. Tell them Dr. Shina
Wow.
sent you, but they need to give me a plug. They now need to
Sponsorship.
sponsorship. They need a sponsor.
Let's touch a little bit on grief. You recently
Mm,
lost your best friend and sister very suddenly.
yes, yes, yes,
How
yes,
have you
yes.
navigated grief? Grief it's a different animal. It is something else. How have you navigated
All of that.
yeah.
So losing my younger sister was probably, so let me tell you this. I used to think that the whole PT school shenanigans was the
Yeah.
hardest thing I ever had to go through in life. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so hard. It's so devastating.
Yeah.
Then I lost my sister overnight, right? So she was in a car accident and that really was it, right? I think, man, it did a lot for me Christianity wise, my relationship with God. I think it took me a year to go back to church, like just to
Yeah.
step foot into a church.
Yeah.
Because I think I was very resentful towards God. I was like, you know what? Which is so funny because what I said in the beginning is going to contradict what I was thinking in the moment.
Yeah.
I'm like, God, I've been so faithful.
Yeah.
I've been so faithful. I will pray. I'm that person that I will give when I can give.
Yes.
I will show up when I can show up. I give my time. I give resources. I do the best that I can. But you could not save my sister in
Yes.
that moment, and you let it
Yeah.
happen to her. So, which I think is quite ironic because remember in the beginning I said I don't know why we think that as Christians, right, life should just be smooth
Yes.
and easy.
But that's
So I
now.
think this is right.
When
This
you're
is
going
now
through it
when you're going
in
through it.
real time.
Yes, yes. I will say, and it happened actually maybe, I think it happened like 3, 4 months before I was supposed to finish my residency. So
Wow.
I was right smack in the middle of like research. I was like that. Yeah, it was a lot. So even having to take the time out to then come back and try to finish on time,
Yes.
it was a lot because then I had to set aside what I was feeling so I could push through to finish. And then I then had to come back home. So then I moved back to Texas and it's like my grief just started. Like I then had to start to process through that. And I don't think grief is something that it doesn't go away,
Never.
right? I think a part of me is never going to be the same.
Never.
I mean, that's just it. Never going to be the same. I always say my heart broke. And like, I never used to understand people that would say like, oh, this person died of a broken heart. Like,
Uh-huh.
I
Yeah.
never got that. But when my sister passed, like I physically hurt. Like even just like right now, like trying to think about what I was feeling and that like my heart, I didn't even know that was possible. My heart would just physically hurt. But God is good, right? In the sense that he is very I can still say that God is faithful even after going through what I've gone through because I'm
Yeah.
still here.
Yeah.
And we're even still sitting here talking about all the other things that I'm doing in my life.
Yes.
And I'm still pushing through and
Yes.
I still have a smile on my face, right? It doesn't mean I don't have sad days where I miss
Right.
my sister. But I remember as I was going through this when I lost my younger sister, you know, I was on Instagram and there was a post that somebody, posted randomly, and it had a picture of grief as a black ball, right? So it was like a big black ball. I need to find that. But the ball, basically, it says this is what grief looks like in the beginning. So it's like the ball is so big.
Yeah.
Right. And then after, like as time goes on, it showed the ball getting smaller and smaller and us getting bigger and bigger. So it's
Wow.
talking about how we grow around grief.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming sometimes grief can overwhelm other people
Yes.
to where then they
Yes.
cannot continue to process and
Yeah.
grow through it. And that's a real thing.
Yeah.
But I'm a firm believer that my family and I, we've been very blessed enough to be in a place of growing around. We can sit down and laugh about my
Yeah.
younger sister.
Yeah.
Or just be like, that girl, she was hilarious. She used to do this. Or,
Yeah.
like I wear some of her clothes still. Like I'll have like some of her stuff so I can wear them and I'll be like, man, Melissa would have rocked it totally different. But,
Yeah.
I'm going to still rock it. And I think for me to even get there, I don't know if I hadn't sought out therapy, if I would be where I am right now. Because I was I've never I've never understood, but I think I was in a place where I was like, I can see how people don't go past this.
Yes.
When I was in it,
yes,
I was like, I can see how somebody can get numbed by this pain.
Yeah.
And not want to see tomorrow or
Yes.
not want to, like strive for more or
Right.
not and just kind of go down like a hole. I could see it.
Yeah.
But like I said, God is just God. And my therapist, man, shout out to my therapist. I've been seeing her for like more than 3-4 years now. Super amazing lady. She's a Christian woman too.
Wow.
But she has been holding down the fort, and even then, just as the ups and downs of life
Yeah.
go on, and it's like, it's anniversary time. I mean, to ramp things up a little bit.
Yes.
So I normalize seeking out help, not only for your physical health, but also for your mental health, because I think it's like super key. Girl, I'm out here trying to preach it to everybody that can listen. And some of my friends now go to therapy and they think it's the best
Therapy
thing
is
that's ever
key.
happened.
Therapy is key. We all need therapy.
Right.
We all need therapy.
Yeah. So I think grief for me has been such an up and down thing,
Mm-hmm.
but I can safely sit here and say I'm growing around it.
Mm-hmm.
And I may not understand it. Sometimes like you start to think like, why wasn't it just me? Like,
Yeah.
why did it have to be her? She
Yeah.
was the baby out of the girls. Why her? But it's just like, you start to just think, fortunately, God is God.
Yes.
Right. He's the same God that gives. He's the same God that takes away. And I think that's really my consolation even now, where I'm just like, you know what? I just have to trust that God knows what he's doing, even when it hurts.
Yes. Even
Which is
when
a
it
hard
hurts.
place, which is very hard. Very, very, yeah.
So what do you think about heaven then?
Okay, sis, that's a very actually, it's so funny that you're saying that, because we were even talking about it, because my nephews will ask questions like,
Yeah.
oh, what up, because they've had to now experience death at a young age.
At a young age,
At a very young age. So for me personally, I mean, heaven is real, right? Heaven is real, because if we believe that God rose, or that Jesus rose, then we believe, because where is he at? He's here with us, yes, but he's preparing a place for us in heaven. I then can say that heaven is real and that we will all get there at some point when he comes back for us. So that's where I'm at with that. And I will say, I even have another friend of mine whom we were just talking a couple of weeks, and she lost a sister too. And so she was talking about how it's shaken her up so much that she's questioning everything, and we all go through, like I said, this grief thing, man. Because in the beginning, I was like, God, and luckily for me, when I went through it, I still had conversations with God. I didn't shut him out. I just didn't go back to church, because it was a very traumatizing thing for me, because that's the church that we said goodbye to her.
Yeah,
But I still had that was her church, yeah. But I still had conversations like, look, I'm not happy. This is hard. Even like the fasting that I usually would do on a regular basis, I stopped. I was like, God, I just need you to give me some time. Give me some time, because I've read about this. I've talked about it, how God is God, how, God will do this, God will do that. But now it's happening to me. I just need I need a moment to just process. Yeah. And just come to terms with that. The things that I have said with my mouth have now come to pass. And now I have to live a Job life. Yeah. Where I'm like, my life was full, my siblings were thriving, everybody's good, to just taken away. So I had to take time. But not everybody goes through that, because then I think And the funny thing is, I actually told my friend, I said, I think, because she was like, why is it that you're here and I'm here? And I had to think, but I was like, I think it depends on where your relationship with God is before things happen. So that kind of got her thinking, like, okay, so where was I at with my walk with God before these things happen? But she's questioning a lot. Like, does heaven exist? That was a question that she's like, and then she even was saying, like, in this whole earth, look at all these people that are dead. Are we all gonna fit in heaven? I said, girl, I mean,
if you think of the beginning of time.
Yes. Yeah. She was like, oh, since Jesus rose again back then till now. And so she had like, oh, and I was like, man, like I'm like, girl, look, I just know heaven exists and I know, and she's like, are we all going to be on these chariots going to heaven? Is he going to have enough chariots for all of us? And I was like, girl, that's a fair question.
Yes, but that's how we live our lives, because we limit God so much.
We limit God
Because
so much.
we
Yeah.
truly, truly think he's human like us.
Yeah.
So for us, we're like, I'm not going to have enough for everybody, guys.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Because she's like, what's the point? If we're all going to die anyway, what's the point? I was like, girl, I mean, and those are all valid questions for somebody that has lost somebody. You get to question your whole world. Like, why am I even here?
Yeah.
What am I doing? What is my purpose? So even when you tell somebody that, you know, like we would talk about this, like, so God, so funny. My siblings and I were hilarious. But I remember one time, like, Wine Down Wednesday, we're just chilling, doing our thing. And one sister says, so God really chose Melissa.
Did I hear that right? Wine Down Wednesdays?
Yes, that's a thing. Wind down Wednesday. It's a thing. We're winding down on a Wednesday. But you know, like we talked about it, we were like, so God really saw it fit to take our younger sister. Like he saw it fit to take her.
Yeah.
And we're like, huh. So we're like, so do you think that God was happy? Like he was like, you know how people will say like when your time is up and God is done with you in terms of your purpose that he placed you on earth.
Yes.
My sister was like 27. You know, so, she was 27 and she had just turned 27. 10 days later, she passed away. So we're like, okay, so is this what it, so like God really sat down and was like, girl, 27 years, you did your thing.
Yeah.
Good job. So proud of you. So even coming to terms with that, you know, to then say like, okay, so I guess I'm still here for a reason.
Yeah.
What is now that reason?
And I was just going to ask, so what is your purpose?
Oh,
what is
so I will say this.
So what is your life purpose? What is your life? What is your mission statement for your life? And what is your purpose? Because I truly believe that your mission statement for your life is what gets you up every morning. It is what your purpose is. It's what pushes you to do the things that you do, because that at the end of the day is going to be cumulative to become your legacy.
Okay. So I will say this, life purpose, and people are going to laugh because I say this all the time on my social media, is I think my goal and purpose in life is to empower women, right? So empowerment, right? So everything that I'm doing, even with my job, I'm pouring into these women and giving them knowledge on how to manage their bodies and how to be the best advocates that they can be for themselves, for their health, and for the things that I'm not talked about, right? We just talked about vaginismus, sexual health, all of that. That's one thing. I always say this at the end of everything. You're gonna laugh. I literally wake up every day knowing that I'm gonna help somebody get laid pain-free. That's it. I love it.
I love that.
But you'd be so, we laugh about it. You'd be so surprised how many people are out there. And you know what had me thinking? Not even that. Let me tell you this. You know how way back when, back home, people would be like, oh, so-and-so can't have kids. Let's find him another wife.
Yes.
Do you know how it had me thinking, like, how many of those people had vaginismus and we didn't know?
Right.
Like how many? Till today, I've had people in other countries that will say, my mother-in-law is threatening to get another wife in our house because we cannot have intercourse. Or because we've been married for 2 years and there's no child, but she doesn't know that I don't have a child because I have vaginismus and I can't have intercourse. And when I say that is my purpose in life, I'm like, it's a real purpose, guys. It's a real purpose.
That is purpose. And it's one of those things I feel like unless you have personally been affected by it, or you know someone close to you that's been affected by it, it's kind of like what I always say with kidney disease and transplantation. Unless you know somebody with kidney disease who goes to dialysis, who is struggling on a daily basis, you don't go around thinking, I could be a donor for somebody.
I could be a donor, yes.
Right?
And it's just very, very interesting because then I've now even come across women that want to conceive. They're like, how am I supposed to conceive if I cannot? Like, they're like, okay, let's skip the consummation. We'll go and do IVF. And the IVF doctor is telling you, well, we can't do IVF because I can't get my tools in you. So you need to go to see somebody to help you so that we can. So even just that, like the bigger picture of it all, I'm telling you, every day
Yeah.
of my life, I'm literally like I think last year, I think I counted it was 10 women that got pregnant because of me. And I was like,
Wow.
oh my
That is
gosh, that is
amazing. That
crazy.
is
One even had
amazing.
twins.
Wow.
Yes. And I was like, before I existed, these people could not have intercourse. Couldn't do
Right.
it. Or they were having it, it was painful, so they were avoiding it, so they couldn't have kids. Isn't that
So
crazy?
I'm just curious, do you see in your work that a lot of people had a history of sexual trauma, or is this something that can happen even without sexual trauma?
It can happen without. So some
Yeah.
people, yes, they do. They have extensive medical history. But other people, sis, it's just like when I was 12 and everybody was going swimming and they were using a tampon, I couldn't get it in.
Mm,
So I just avoided swimming when I'm on
mhm,
my cycle all year
mhm,
round. Like
mhm,
it could start as small as that. And they were
mhm,
like, that's when I knew something was going on, that something was
mm,
wrong. Then I tried to get my first pap smear and the doctor
mhm,
couldn't get it in.
mhm.
Or then they had to put me under, which I think is crazy that they're
Yeah.
out here putting people under anesthesia for a speculum. I'm like, let's just try therapy first. But
Right.
right, so sometimes it can just be like you were born like that, and
Yeah.
you've got tight pelvic floor muscles, and
Yeah.
but you start to see the signs. Usually
Wow.
it's the tampon. The tampon is usually the first one. They
Yeah.
usually say like, or some people will say in my culture we don't believe in tampons, so I
Right.
never
I
even
was gonna
tried.
say, but that's the thing, because even I remember I went to boarding school and tampons were like, no, no. And I'm like,
No,
why? But
why?
at that time would be told, oh, because it's going to take away your virginity.
Yeah. And that's a myth I always debunk, right?
Yeah.
So some people just don't even know they have it because they've never had to. And some people will be like, oh, I don't go for the speculum for a pap smear.
Mhm.
I never used a tampon because I didn't care for it, or culturally, I
Yeah.
was not allowed to. And then I decided to wait for intercourse until I got married.
Right.
So then now you're like 33 and you're trying to have intercourse and nothing is going in.
Mm.
Yeah. So it could be a little bit of both. But
Well,
yeah, that's my purpose.
that is amazing purpose. That is great purpose.
But I will say this too, to add to that
Yeah.
purpose, I feel like a lot of what I do is not only just empowering women in what I'm doing one on one, but even
Yeah.
just like resources, right? My time. Can I volunteer my time? Can I donate if I have the resources, right? Financially to causes that are going to help women all over the world, different things. Is it
Yes, you're
pads?
a donor to the Rose Gift Foundation. Yes.
Right. Is it pads that we're putting out there to end period poverty?
Yes. Yes.
Things like that. So I think I'm just all about the women empowerment. That's my purpose. If I know that I've empowered people in life and
Yeah.
females are in a better place, can talk and advocate for themselves, girl, I'm chilling. I'm good.
I love that. So let's talk about that 15-year-old, that 20-year-old you. What would you say to 15-year-old you, 20-year-old you, and we're going to end at 25-year-old you because you're still in your early 30s?
So 15-year-old me. So I would have told 15-year-old me that just because I was naughty doesn't mean I was going to be a failure.
Naughty, musicando.
Naughty, okay? Just because you're naughty doesn't mean that you're gonna be a failure. Doesn't mean that. Doesn't mean that. And then what was the next one? 20?
20.
20-year-old me would have said that your failures are not going to define you, right? Your failures are not going to define you. And then 25-year-old me would have
Mhm.
said, God is never going to put anything on your plate that you are not going to be able to handle.
Amen.
Yeah, I think I would have reiterated that in terms of just even finishing off school and then the loss of my sister, and
Yeah.
to kind of just to remind me that it's okay. God is still God and he still has you. He still has you.
So when there are those things on your plate that sometimes it feels like you cannot handle, what are your go-to verses?
This one is going to be Proverbs 3 verse 5.
Mhm.
Absolutely love that verse, and I speak that verse over my life all the time.
Yes.
To trust in the Lord with all of my heart and lean not on my
Mhm.
own understanding. Because I think
Yes.
as humans, my understanding can say, Martina, you're failing because you've got 2,000 followers on Instagram.
Right.
But God is like, trust in me, right?
Yes.
Within those 2,000, you are making a difference. Even
Yes.
if it's one person that you
Even if
touch,
it's
you're making a difference.
one person. One person.
So
Yep.
absolutely love that verse, because then it's allowed me to also just be in a season of letting go.
Yes.
Whatever that looks like. I just let go and I let God, because I know that I should trust, not because our human understanding is so limited.
Yeah.
So limited. But God is like, I got you. So
Yeah.
that's one. And then Psalms 34 verse 18. that the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit, right? That he saves them.
Amen.
Not only is he close, because being close is great, but he also saves us when we are crushed in spirit. That right there is like when I am brokenhearted and I'm grieving and I have lost, whatever it is I've lost. It could be a friend, it could be a sibling, whatever. Just to know that he is going to be close to those that are brokenhearted and he's going to save me as a crushed spirit. That's it.
I love
That's
that.
it. Yeah.
So tell me one Bible character that's female. That's your favorite.
So let me tell you, I love me some Esther. Esther was a baddie. Queen Esther was a baddie.
Queen Esther,
she was a baddie. Not only was she pretty, and the king is like, okay, this is the one. I'm going to bring her as my queen bee. She was a baddie, and I love her boldness.
Yeah.
Because when I even try to put myself in her shoes, and if somebody was like, hey, you need to stand up for your people, would I have done the same thing? Honestly, I don't even know. That's hard, right? In the position. But I just love, because I also feel like she kind of, not that I'm saying I'm a baddie like Queen Esther, but I feel like she has shown me that God is able to put you in a place and you are there for a reason.
Yes.
Right? It is not by chance that me and Joy even sitting here and having this conversation. I don't know what this podcast is going to do. I don't know who it's going to resonate with and who it's going to touch.
Yes.
God has a way of putting us in rooms, tables, places. Girl, the craziest things will be happening in your life, but he has a purpose for it. So even my Queen Esther, she was a baddie. She didn't even know what she was there for. She was just chilling in her cute little clothes. She still saved some people.
Getting her skincare on.
Skincare on, self-care massage, whatever. But she, even towards the end of her story, she was one that really rescued her people. She saved people from dying.
Yes.
But I don't think when she entered that palace, she knew that this is what that purpose was going to be for her. So you don't know what God is doing for you. You could be in Walmart, girl, at the checkout counter and you smile at somebody that was going to do something to themselves. You just don't know. You never know. So I think I love her story because it just reminds me that wherever I'm at, girl, even those repeating, the program I had to leave, God said, Martina, no, I have a plan for you at this other program. Then he said, within this program, I have a plan for you with the other cohort, not even this one.
Yes.
So you got this. And then with the residency, he's like, no, let COVID happen. I have a plan for you maybe he did it for one person that I was supposed to encounter in my residency that year. Let me tell you, Queen Esther, she's the baddie.
I love that. What are some words of encouragement that you can give to the ordinary woman who is striving to live an extraordinary life that is purposeful?
Give yourself some grace. I'm sure my clients hear this all the time.
Yeah.
Give yourself some grace. There is no race to this whole thing called life. It's a journey and it's your journey. And comparing yourself from one person to the next is not going to do you any good, right? So I always tell my clients this, look at your small wins. Where were you this time last year?
Yeah.
Where were you 6 months ago?
Yeah.
Give yourself grace. I think that's the biggest thing that I would tell my ladies out there. Give yourself grace and just know that you're where you're supposed to be. You are where you're supposed to be in the season.
So talking about seasons, what is your one word for this season in your life?
Oh, my one word for this year. You know what?
Yeah.
I think God has put me in a place of peace.
Ooh, I love that.
That is my one word for this year. And I think, life has been happening. Things have been happening within my personal life, certainly, but I'm at peace because I'm just letting go. Peace. I would say actually two, peace and abundance. I feel like I'm the happiest I've been. I don't have to worry about school. I don't have to worry about all this passing and failing and all this stuff. And I think, but for sure, the big one for me right now is just peace. I think in my heart, I am at peace. I love my job. I'm at peace. My family, I'm at peace. My relationship, I'm at peace. So I think there's just a lot of peace in my heart, and and I'm very thankful for that because I'm like, but this is my thing. And I'm working on it in therapy because, when you're going through peace and you've been through a lot of trauma, you'll now be thinking, when is the shoe dropping?
Yes.
So I'm working through it to just be in peace and accept that I'm in peace and bask in the peace.
Basking in the peace.
Asking in the peace. So that's where I'm at right now. Because then I'm like, Lord, whatever is going to come, prepare me and equip me with the tools that I need. And my prayer is that I continue to have peace regardless of the storms. Yeah, because I think peace has been a new word for me. So I'm just praying. I'm like, Lord, I like this peace thing. So let's now execute it even in the storms.
That was my word last year. And everybody knew, even at work, because my biggest thing was always nothing is going to disturb my peace.
Oh no. And now I'm like good at creating boundaries. Girl, therapy has been good to me. Creating boundaries. I'm like, I gotta protect my peace.
Protect your peace at all costs. So where can people find you? And women are going to want a pelvic coach now. So where can people find you? Where can they connect with you? Where do you share content so they can interact with you and see what it is that they can be doing on the daily to keep their pelvic floors healthy?
So Facebook, of which really I always say Facebook is more for connection. My content please pray for me, guys. Facebook, I'm not ready to publicize what I be doing sometimes. So I'm not out there with like everything I do because I'm like my dad's friend, but I'm working on it, guys. I'm working on it. But
I'm hoping they'll listen to this podcast now. So they'll know exactly what it is that your purpose is.
Now they know. So Facebook, Martina Mapa is my Facebook. Instagram, VRD, so Vagina Rehab Doctor. Times Dr. Tina is how you find me. So X Dr. Tina. And then TikTok, Dr. Tina Mapa is just me. So you'll find me. And usually my accounts are kind of linked. So you'll definitely find me. Yeah. But if you look Dr. Dr. Tina Mapa, they'll find me. Yeah.
I'll put them in our show notes as well.
Yes.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being here. This was just an amazing time. And I am so grateful that you took the time to spend it with us and to just talk about the things that affect us as women.
And thank you so much for inviting me. I always say yes. Honestly, I always say yes.
I am so grateful you did.
Yeah. But it's part of the empowerment, girl. No, I appreciate it. Thank you.